The Lightning Arrow Deadeye is a now 3-time winner when it comes to Path of Exile 2's early access, sporting fantastic damage, clear speed, bossing potential, and now even survivability with the latest buffs to evasion and the addition of deflection. So if you want a build that's going to see you succeed all league long, all the way from the beach to disintegrating the most difficult pinnacle bosses in under 10 seconds flat, then this is likely the build for you. Going through the fundamental skills and support gems, we of course start with Lightning Arrow, our main clear and supplementary boss damage dealer in the build. For supports, we'll first socket Lightning Attunement for 25% extra lightning damage, Rapid Fire 1 initially, but later replaced with Rapid Fire 2 for attack speed, Elemental Armament 1 later replaced by level 2 for even more damage, and Fork as your first greater Jeweler Orb investment for a massive improvement to clear speed. During boss fights, if you need extra DPS, swap out Fork for Charge Shots 2. Eventually, Lightning Arrow will be all you need to clear anything less than a boss fight, but throughout the campaign and early mapping, we'll be weaving it with Lightning Rod for additional clear. Lightning Rod leaves arrows embedded into the ground and detonates when chained to by Lightning Arrow, stacking damage onto the target for each rod in the ground. As you can have a maximum of 20 rods out at any time, you'll want to use this skill to blow up packs of mobs and stack as many as possible underneath bosses before comboing with Lightning Arrow for big damage. We're going to be socketing multi-shot level 1, later replacing it with level 2, which is going to reduce the damage and skill speed by a dramatic amount. But as the damage we're dealing with Lightning Rod is based on how many rods we can realistically get out at the same time, going from 1 to 3 rods per cast is triple the output in exchange for that damage loss, making it worth it at least during the campaign and early mapping when your attack speed is already terrible anyway. The rest is much more straightforward. Lightning Attunement, Elemental Armament 2, and your second Greater Jeweler should be spent on Concentrated Area for a massive boost to DPS. For your Spirit Gem, we'll be taking Herald of Thunder to boost clear speed through a zero-effort synergy with Lightning Arrow. Killing shocked enemies causes further enemies to be struck by lightning. Simple and effective all game long. Boost the damage output with Elemental Armament 2 and Elemental Focus, as Herald of Thunder already can't shock anyway, this is just free damage. And Living Lightning, which causes Lightning Wisp minions to conjure after dealing damage with your Herald, which then proceed to proc your Lightning Rods for even more reliable map clear. If you get a third Greater Jeweler, spend it here on Lightning Attunement. Next up, Voltaic Mark, which boosts your damage against your marked target through shock magnitude and causes the target to violently explode in a ball of lightning on death. Basically use this every boss fight and keep it up throughout, as well as against difficult groups of enemies. Keeping things simple, we lock in Prolonged Duration to reduce how often we need to recast this during boss fights, and Mark for Death to build up Armor Break for the physical side of our Lightning Arrow during boss encounters. Next is a returning skill from 0.1, now buffed and made significantly more user-friendly. It's Electrocuting Arrow. Use the skill exclusively against tough rares and bosses to begin an electrocution buildup. Upon taking enough lightning damage, the boss or rare will become stunned for a full 5 seconds, allowing you to maximize your DPS during this window and sometimes invalidate the boss altogether. For supports, we go with Prolonged Duration to reduce the recast and Rapid Fire up to level 3 to increase the fluidity as you rotate through your skills. Next is our second Spirit Gem, Wind Dancer. Nothing too special about this one, it's just some extra evasion and a knockback effect when struck with it charged. Recommend running Blind and Magnified Area for the supports to give yourself some breathing room when it pops. You can also use this as a vessel for cannibalism if you have the extra spirit for it. Last is the Rhoa Mount, which you won't be able to use until deep in the campaign, and with the extra spirit from your amulet or body armor. This gives you unmatched combat mobility and will make the rest of your campaign and early mapping an absolute breeze. Just be careful to not take too many hits or you'll go flying off the mount heavily stunned and proceed to likely die. Improving your maximum life and stun threshold will make it more difficult for this to happen, however. Socket Loyalty to reduce the damage we take, and Meat Shield to reduce the damage our Rhoa takes while we're dismounted. Getting into our passive tree, that's going to take us from 1 to 70, go through Honed Instincts, then Vile Wounds, Primal Sundering, Catalysis, Maiming Strike, and then Coming Calamity to get your early damage dealing potential fully online. At this point, it'll be worth thinking about some survivability, as you'll be getting into the more dangerous part of the campaign. So, grab the Wildcat, Bestial Skin, and Enhanced Reflexes for some much needed evasion and deflection. After that, proceed to Falcon Technique for some attack speed scaling, First Approach for a massive boost to our Alpha Strike damage, then Kite Runner for some extra mobility and DPS. We finish up the campaign build with Surging Currents and Storm Surge for some lightning penetration, Unbound Forces for a huge boost to our shock effectiveness, and the last 2 points slide into Escape Velocity for a final boost to evasion and movement speed. For the Ascendency, Gathering Winds for Tailwind will give us a massive boost to stats as long as we go hitless, greatly improving mapping and bossing capability. And Point Blank for 20% more damage at close range, because it's much easier to control being at close range than far. You can opt for Called Shots with Voltaic Mark instead for extra clear, but I find the bossing DPS to be more useful as we've got clear in spades by the second Ascendency already. For your campaign bonuses, the choices that I recommend are Charm Duration over Charge Gain in Act 2, Stun Threshold from the Venom in Act 3, 30% Life Recovery from the Goddess of Justice in Act 4, 5% all elemental resistance from the tattoos in Act 4, and activating the 5% all resist pillar during the interlude. Talking briefly about gear, so you have everything you need to get started and blitz through the game. Your bow, quiver, gloves, and rings are the most important part of your kit early on. You'll be looking to stack as much flat damage within these pieces as physically possible due to the low base damage low-level bows have. Early on, you won't be picky about what kind of flat damage, but eventually you want to phase out other elements in favor of physical and lightning damage only, as we convert the majority of our physical damage directly to lightning anyway. Specifics like attack speed on your bow, quiver, and gloves are also great to have, and extra projectile skills on the quiver is excellent. Outside of damage dealing capability, you're also going to need to work on survivability, but only around Act 4 and beyond for the most part. We'll be trying to utilize full evasion pieces, or at least hybrid evasion pieces, throughout the campaign, with maximum life as a high priority and elemental resistances progressively becoming more important up to their cap of 75% each by the time you reach maps. On your boots though, you'll want as much movement speed as you can get, and during the campaign, everything else is secondary to this. For the necklace, you'll want to get a spirit prefix to enable using the Rhoa towards the end of the campaign, with any other desirable stats you can get your hands on. These will be very expensive this early in the league though, so don't be too picky in this regard. If you can't get a spirit amulet, then look for spirit on your chest piece instead. If you want a more specific breakdown of the stats and gear we're looking for, feel free to take a look at my Mobalytics written version of this guide, pinned in the comments and description down below. If you have specific questions, feel free to stop by twitch.tv/Aravan, and I'll be sure to answer them as I continue to advance the build into late endgame. Thank you for watching till the end, and thank you to my coffee supporters who help keep the channel going. I'll see you next time.